Scott Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong are strongly urged to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
And welcome to the Scott Wetzel Show on this marvelous Monday afternoon. Yours truly sitting in for the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so, taking a look at the world of sports. A little baseball, some NFL, college football, WNBA, of course. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. You want to follow me on Twitter, send a tweet during the show. It is at Opposite Picks. That is OPPOSITE, Picks, P-I-C-K-S. Email me. Go to the website, oppositepicks.com. Hit the contact Scott icon and fire away. YouTube chat as well throughout the show. That is at the Scott Wetzel Show if you're watching us on YouTube, as you should be doing every single day, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on FanStream Sports. What's going on, LLs, LWs, loyal listeners, loyal watchers? How are you on this marvelous Monday? Beautiful day here on Long Island. Got some things planned for later on today. Kind of a know-nothing weekend for us here in the Wetzel household. Worked yesterday, worked on Sunday or Saturday as well. So my days of doing things are really like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then it kind of picks up, and this is really the calm before the storm, right? I know we do have some preseason games in the NFL this week and starting up, obviously, but until the regular season comes or when college football starts. Then it's nice and easy, but then when college football and the NFL begin, man, it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, labor of love, but it does. The work intensifies tremendously. Especially now the NFL's got games on basically every other day. There's always something. If you do what I do with the Opposite Picks, or I do all the trends, I post on the website and keep track of things. Just reading up on the games. You can't just throw things out there without knowing what you're talking about. There's a whole lot of research involved, and it really, Monday is not too bad because it recaps. Tuesday is like the one day off. And then Wednesday, you're right back at it, looking at things and previewing things, posting things, like I said, on my website, oppositepicks.com. A lot of fun. No big deal, but this is like my last couple of weeks before things get a little crazy for everyone's schedule when they do the things that we do. So baseball does take center stage today. We got some WNBA things with all the goofiness, and I tell you, it just never ends with this league. It just never ends with this WNBA. It really, we need to get rid of it. We really do. Got the NFL Hall of Fame, which turned into a comedy show for Adam Vinatieri, which I thought was actually pretty funny. Eric Bieniemy's back in camp for the Kansas City Chiefs, dealing with all the stuff that he's been dealing with, his wife being shot by his son. And a little Kyle Shanahan news. Buffalo Bills Stadium is a mess. So we'll get to it all. Like I said, plus your tweets, plus your emails, and a little YouTube chat as well. Typical sports this weekend. We'll start with our beloved Red Sox, as we like to do when they win, and we got to do it when they lose, to be fair. And it's just like you think. This team is with 32-5 or 30-5, whatever they were, right? The great stretch that they had. Being a Red Sox fan, you would think I would have, as a bettor, that I would have made hundreds, depending on what I bet on these things. Thousands. 30-5. All you got to do, you bet $100. Heck, they were underdogs a good portion of those games. You bet $50 on them and go 30-5. You probably made, into the thousands, right? Certainly if you were, bet hundreds. So you would think I would have been making a whole ton of money over the last, month or so with the Red Sox playing the way they have, but not really. In fact, no. I wouldn't even say not really. No. I generally don't bet them. I really don't. I don't want to put the black cloud on them because I know whenever they win, I'm going to start, or whenever they lose, or whenever I bet them, they're going to lose. So you know what? I really stayed away. In fact, I bet against them more times than I bet on them, to tell you the truth. I bet against them, I think 3 out of the 4 games against the Stankies, which began this stretch. Bet against them, and then I bet on them, but then they lost 2 of 3 to, who was it, Washington? Then I bet against them when they went out to Seattle and the A's, and they swept those series. And then for about 3 weeks here, I haven't really bet them. Just let them be who they are. Go ahead. Keep on winning, and being a Sox fan, that was good enough. Having them move up in the standings, and I got a ticket on them at the end of the year anyway, to win the World Series and the Rover on their season win total. So I kind of got to bet on them anyway, right? So point is, I haven't been playing them. I really haven't. So this weekend comes up, and I even told you on Friday. So it's one of those things where you know it, you say it, but do you listen to yourself? No, you just don't. I told you on Friday, I said, knowing sports how they are, we got the hottest team in baseball in Boston. We got the absolute coldest team we have in the A's. And I said, somehow or another, you wait and see. I didn't think they would win 2 games, but I said, for sure the A's are going to find a way to win one of these games. You watch and see, right? Even though it makes absolutely no sense. So, first game, Red Sox win 13-1 on Friday night. Maybe I'm going to be wrong about this, right? Saturday, first inning, 2-0 Boston. Here we go, right? They're 33-5. They're going to win again, right? So I don't bet them Friday. Saturday, I say, you know what? I can't pass this up. Forget about what I just said on Friday about how the A's are going to find a way to win at least one of these games. This is just too easy. I'm passing up easy money here. So I'm only going to bet Boston. Forget about everything else. I'm only betting. I have a couple accounts, so one account I do that every once in a while. I'm not going to bet anything else, just the Red Sox, right? And we all know what happens. They lose. All right, you know what? I'm going to go right back at them again tomorrow. I'm not going to bet anything else. I'm just going to bet the Red Sox again Sunday. Now I'm thinking, well, there's no way they're really going to lose 2. I figured they might lose 1, but they're not going to lose 2 to the A's, right? They lose again. I bet this dopey team twice, in a 35 or so game stretch. They win every freaking time I don't bet them, and when I do, they end up losing. It's just... So I'm not going to bet them tonight. And I actually like Toronto, to tell you the truth. I might bet against them just because, 2 in a row, who are the real Red Sox? Is it the Red Sox team that we saw, go 10 games or so under 500 the first 50 games? Is it the Red Sox team that we've seen go 20, 25, 30 games almost over 500 the next 50 gague who are the Red Sox going to be these last 50 games or so, 40 games now? I don't know. You can't, man, you just can't lose 2 in a row to the A's at home. Maybe on the road. But they're playing horrible baseball. The A's heading into this series were, what were they, 7? I wrote it down here. The A's were 7-31. Check that, 7-32. No, they won twice. So yeah, 7-31, something like that. 7-31 their last 40 or so games. 4-16, 3-16 since the All-Star break. Just atrocious, just brutal baseball. And yet somehow or another they take 2 out of 3 against Boston. So what Red Sox team is this? The beginning of the end? Not that it would necessarily be the end, but is this the beginning of? All right, the Red Sox going back to being what they were the first third of the season. Are they going to be a 500 team from this point on? They have a decent enough cushion in the god-awful American League that even if they played 500 baseball, I mean, when you look at their schedule, it's pretty easy. It really is. So they got a 5.5 game lead over the Tigers. The Tigers are the one team that scares me out of this group, even though they traded Skubal and they traded Mize. But that's the one team that's really underachieving. The Minnesota Twinkies are a 500 baseball team. That's what they're going to be. The Cleveland Guardians are a 500 baseball team. That's what they're going to be. Seattle a little bit, but they're so far behind now with Boston that they're 9 back. That would take 10 games in the loss column. That would really take a Red Sox collapse and a Mariners resurgence. They are capable, but I think they're too far back. Same thing with Toronto. Although Toronto sweeps this 3-game series with the Red Sox, a whole different story there. But it's the Tigers because they're the one team that's underachieving, even without Skubal and Mize. They would be the one that I'd kind of worry about a little bit. So FanDuel offers, if you want to put a reverse black cloud on them, I know we have a lot of Red Sox fans here. You can do that. They are offering 11-1 for the Red Sox to miss the playoffs. Actually, you know what? Wow, it was 11-1 yesterday. It's now down to plus 980. All right, so it's still almost 10-1, but you're not getting as quick a bang for your buck. 2 stinking losses. 2 losses to the A's, and all of a sudden the boys in Vegas are thinking like I'm thinking, like, maybe, just maybe. So it would take a bit of a collapse, but we've seen this team play lousy baseball. So that's not want to put a little hunch, that's not a bad little hunch. But you just, man, as soon as you start buying in, again, the big series, the schedule is ridiculously easy. We've brought this up before, right? They start a series at Toronto. Now, listen, they're in last place, but they are capable. I know that. 4-game set in Toronto. Even if the Sox go 2-2, then they got a 3-game series against Pittsburgh, who's stuck. Then they got a series at home against Arizona and San Francisco. Arizona's playing much, much better. That'll be a decent series. Just took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. But then they get 3 more against the Giants. Rafi Devers coming to town. Then they got 3 against Miami. I mean, they would really have to fall way, way back. But, you get spoiled. You see the Red Sox win, and you just think, okay, they're going to continue to win and win and win and win. And, when you have a couple of setbacks like they have, it's a little disappointing for sure. So now they're 7 back and probably not going to catch Tampa Bay. Not that it's that, well, I mean, it is a big deal. It'd be a nice goal. Like, chip on their shoulder. They end up getting, first round bye in the goofy playoffs that baseball has. That would be nice, but that more than likely is not going to happen. But that's okay. Houston continues to lead the AL West. Boy, what a lousy division. 500 baseball, 60-59 are your Houston Astros leading the AL West by half a game. I mean, as bad as Seattle has been, and man, they just lost a series against Tampa, got swept by Tampa Bay at home, went 3-6 on their 9-game homestand, which concluded this weekend. 7 games under 500, only 4 back. This dopey team can maybe turn things around. And, the AL Central, not too bad with the White Sox being 61-56 and starting to stretch it out a little bit. 3.5-game lead in the AL Central. Phillies end up taking 2 out of 3 from Toronto. Good job by them. Milwaukee wins again over the weekend. Really, the story is the LA Dodgers. They lose again yesterday afternoon. They've now lost 8 of their last 9. Is it panic time? I brought this up over the weekend on Sports Grid when I was hosting. They got to make the playoffs, right? And all they need to do is make the playoffs, and they can win any series. But they don't have the best record in the National League. In fact, they don't have the second best record in the National League. They have the third best record in the National League. So what? Well, that means 1, they're not going to get a first round bye. So 2, that means they're going to have to play in one of these dopey best of 3 opening round series, which I just hate. Man, out of all the things in baseball, I'll deal with the pitch count and the thrown over to the first base only 2 times and all the other nonsense challenges and all that other nonsense, the extra inning runner, ghost runner. I'll deal with all that stuff, but to have a team win its division and then have to play a best of 3, albeit getting all 3 games at home, but it's still a best of 3. Anything, first of all, before I say anything else, anything can happen in a best of 3. Now you talk about facing the Philadelphia Phillies maybe in the best of 3, depending on how things play out. Because it looks like the Braves are going to win the AL or the NL East. They got an 8.5-game lead, right? So the Dodgers are going to get, at this point, the number 3 slot as far as the wild card teams are concerned. Now that might be Philadelphia. It might be the Cubs. Could be Arizona, right? You want to go up against Philadelphia in a best of 3 series when they could throw Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler at you in games 1 and 2. As good as the Dodger pitching is, Skubal, Ohtani, whoever, right? That's a powerful 1-2 punch. They could go toe-to-toe with you on that. You could easily lose that series. I don't think the Brewers are going to lose the NL Central. They got a 5.5 game lead, but let's just say they do. Now you got to face Mizorowski and Harrison and whoever else the Brewers want to throw at you in a best-of-3 series. Who wants to do that? They just got swept by the Cubs. They don't want to face them in a best-of-3 series. They just lost 2 out of 3 to Arizona, lost the season series 6-7 to Arizona. You don't want to face them in a first-round best-of-3 either. So, if you don't get the home field advantage, or you don't get the number 1 seed in the National League, you are leaving yourself open. And that's what this Dodger team is doing. They're 4 games back now of Milwaukee for the best record. It would hurt if they finished number 3. But you could. It all depends on who finishes, in the wild card race, the pecking order. But the bottom line is you got to get to that number 1 spot. Otherwise, you're really leaving yourself open. And we told you on Friday about their record against left-handed pitchers. Again, depending on who they face, Dodgers are a 500 baseball team. And we're not talking about, 6, 7, 10, maybe 15 games, maybe 20 games. No, we're talking about over 40 games. This season, the LA Dodgers are a 500 baseball team, 1 game over 500, 19-18 against left-handed pitchers. So when you're, over 37 games, that's, they're 21 games over 500 against righties, only 1 against lefties. That tells you something. And you face Sanchez, he's a left-hander for the Philadelphia Phillies. I tell you, this team's in a little bit of trouble. We'll talk to Mark Keeley. Got a couple great guests today. He's the editor-in-chief at the Rockaway Wave, Gotham Baseball AP writer, former actor from his bio. We'll talk to him a little baseball at 3 o'clock. We got Paul Bovey coming up bottom of the hour, do a little NFL with him. We talk, professional sports bettors, all the wise guys and all that goofy stuff, right? He's actually one of them. He actually... when I tell you from time to time, what the wise guy would do right now is bet only 1 team. The rest of us are betting 10 games, but the wise guy bets just 1. He's one of those guys that could just, have a full NFL college football card and play 1, maybe 2 bets, right? So we'll get some insight from him. We'll preview the NFC North. So a disappointing weekend, though, back to the baseball. It was. It just, should have been a better weekend. Red Sox at home against the A's. Again, you can lose 1, but man, to lose 2. So then now this series, you got to go. I'll take 2-2 out of Toronto. Let's not make this a 1-3. Now all of a sudden things have really turned. NFL today, really, we'll start with Bieniemy. He's back in camp. Good thing for the Kansas City Chiefs and all the stuff that this poor guy has dealt with over the years. Good gravy. Between him not getting a head coaching job and then getting an offensive coordinator's job and then losing that job because the head coach gets fired. Then now he's dealing with his wife being shot by his son, apparently. I mean, this guy must not know if he's coming or going. So back in camp, you would think, okay, he's got bigger fish to fry right now. Probably, but you know what? I don't blame him. He probably just wants to get the hell back out of the house and just start thinking and start doing some things. So, good luck for him. Hall of Fame ceremonies. I didn't watch. I saw some clips of it over the weekend, but baseball was taking center stage and really wasn't that much. I know they had the Hall of Fame game Thursday, but there was a time they had the Hall of Fame ceremonies Sunday, and then they had the Hall of Fame game the following Monday, meaning today. That makes sense. I don't know when they switched it. Not that long ago, but it's almost like both are now on an island. You're all pumped up and you're all excited for a game finally. Oh my goodness, after 7 months of no football, or not even 6 months, whatever it would be, we got football, so you're all pumped up for that. But then when that's over on Thursday, there was really no buzz about, the Hall of Fame over the weekend. I don't know what I was expecting, but so I like it better when they had the ceremony over the weekend and then the Hall of Fame game was Monday. I would think the perfect storm would be have the Hall of Fame ceremony Saturday people stay over, have the game Sunday afternoon, right? I mean, football is based on a Sunday afternoon. Why wouldn't you have the first preseason game? This way people can fly into Canton, which is a dump if you've ever been there, and get the hell out of there as soon as possible. But you could fly in, Friday night. You stay over Saturday, see the ceremonies. You stay into Sunday, you watch the game, and boom, you're out of there Sunday night. I don't know why they would force people to fly in for a Thursday game, make them stay over Friday, Saturday, and then into Sunday. Like I said, if you've ever been to Canton, and I've been there, we were there 4 years ago or so, 5 years ago, whatever it was. It's a dump. In fact, it's so much a dump. I swear that this was, I'd have to look it up. It was the last year that the game wasn't played, before COVID. I think 2018-19. So maybe 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago. We got there early in the morning. We were coming in from Chicago. We were doing a little Midwest tour thing. I used to live in Chicago, so we went to go visit that. We visited, the Noah's Ark, if you've ever done that before in Kentucky. So we did that thing, which was cool. People should really, whether you're religious or not, you should go see Noah's Ark. They got a replica Noah's Ark in Kentucky. Same size, as big as 2 football fields. It's pretty cool. So anyway, we get into Canton literally around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? We want to go to get a hotel? I mean, that would be stupid. We have to pay for 2 days, but it's really only one. Let's just go for a bite to eat, right? So we stop at a gas station and ask for directions. Hey, is there like an overnight place? And, we're a family of 5 white people in the car. I get out of the car. This black guy says, wow, he was very nice, actually. I mean, really, he was like, he said, I wouldn't hang around here too long. He makes these impressions of like, you go get your instructions and you best get the hell out of here, right? So I'm like, okay, dude, no problem. I got you. So that was Canton for us. And that's all I need to know. Listen, I'm not going to argue with you. Okay. I'm not going to be where I'm not welcome. So we ended up getting to the car. We went to a diner and hung around for a couple hours before the Hall of Fame opened up. So it's a dump at that point. There's nothing to see. There's no 3-4 days of sightseeing. I don't know what you would do in Canton for 4 days. But anyway, it turned out to be pretty entertaining with the portions I saw, including Adam Vinatieri, who was like the comedian. Did you see him? How goofy is this?
He's here in the crowd today. Great to see you, brother. The only person who enjoyed holding my balls more than my wife.
Not a bad looking wife either.
She held for me in the off season when everyone else was gone. Get that right.
That was pretty good. All right, so he had a bunch of one-liners like that for Parcells and Belichick and a few of the others. He was actually pretty funny. I mean, he took this. I don't ever remember a guy during a Hall of Fame ceremony using it as a stand-up gig, but he was actually pretty funny. So then we got the Kyle Shanahan mess, right? I'm telling you, I told you before. I'll continue to tell you. There's a guy on Twitter that I follow that is, saying the same exact thing. There is way, way more to this than meets the eye. Way more. Now he says his car was on autopilot, his Tesla, when it crashed.
Him, seen some games of his, any impressions?
Oh, my bad.
I mean, he's a heck.
Oh, wrong one. Hit the wrong one. There we go.
Are you mad at yourself for getting in the situation?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you cause an accident that can be avoided, you'd feel pretty stupid. I mean, especially when you have a chance to hurt someone else. And so, I think you get mad when you get a ticket at yourself. So it was kind of the same. Things that, I think everyone's done to a degree what I've done. But, dropping a phone and falling all the way to my back seat to where I have to fully take my eyes off the road. It's something that I normally want to do. I've had autopilot for 9 years, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. And, who knows what happened when I turned around, whether it malfunctioned or whether I knocked it off. That's something I don't know yet. But regardless, it is always your fault, whether you're an autopilot or not. You can't take your eyes off the road. It's a partnership driving. You don't just turn it over to a computer. And it's a good lesson, no matter how comfortable I am with that I believe someday could save my life or someone else's, or it's really helped me have perspective on that stuff.
You're the leader of this team. Obviously, you're asking your players and your coaches to be responsible. Have you had to speak to that at all to them? Like, hey, I learned from what I did, or don't make this mistake, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like sit there and feel like I had to.
didn't.
I didn't have like a ton of guilt over it or anything. Like I think the
said
word's
you
an
did.
accident, and it truly was that way. But you realize how quick and close that stuff can happen, and when you're going at 20 miles an hour, you're not really in your autopilot. I honestly have zero worries. I have so much trust in that stuff, and that was a good lesson that you can't ever have zero worries. But I think it definitely could be an example for a lot of people.
Yeah, it can, you idiot. But the question is, did you bring it up with your players? The point was, you hold players accountable for their actions, and you tell them, don't do this and don't do that and don't get yourself in trouble, and the focus is football and blah, 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 right? I mean, that's the idea as the head coach, right? So the question was pointed towards, isn't that going to be a little, goofy? You getting in trouble off the field and you trying to tell your players don't? Can you at least make it don't do like I did thing? It's a good question. And then this bozo was like, no. It's kind of like John Harbaugh last week when we were talking about Jackson Dart and telling him, listen, you can't be throwing footballs at players' heads to begin with and then get into a fight with your teammate in practice. You can't do that because you can't do it in the game. You told him that, right? He knows. And the same thing here with Shanahan. It was like, I didn't say it. I have no guilt. The first minute and a half, he was talking about how he felt bad. It was his fault. Of course, you feel guilty. You know anything can happen. Blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, you ask him one question. You get the phoniness out of the way. This is the predetermined script in his brain that, okay, I'm going to say this, right? And then hopefully it ends and we'll move on to 49er football, right? So he says the right thing when he knows he can prepare for that. But then when he's thrown a question in which he's apparently not prepared for, then the truth comes out. And he's like, no, not my fault. Don't blame me. Go sue Tesla. I got no guilt. His own words. You caused the crash. You did it. You dope. You're sitting there with a bandage on your arm. I don't know if you broke your arm. Could have killed somebody. Now he says it's only 20 miles an hour. Right? It makes for a good excuse if that's what happened. Maybe that's what happened. Who knows? But the whole thing has stink, written all over it. Why did they hide this story for a week and a half? Well, why couldn't they come out and say what happened? Why are they telling reporters to sit on the story? If it's just an accident, nothing he's guilty of, just an accident, autopilot effed up, maybe he hit it out of autopilot when he turned around. I don't know. But it's just funny. In one breath, he's saying, yeah, I feel bad. I caused an accident. Everyone normally would. Blah, 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 blah. And then the next breath, he's saying, no guilt on my part. Don't blame me. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. The latest, not really the latest, the thing with the Buffalo Bills situation. I'm curious to know how, I'm looking for the clip if I sent one. Did I send one to the Bills? Maybe not. Of the Buffalo Bills' new stadium, which, of course, I helped pay for. Thank you very much. Living in New York. And is this it?
There's the airport.
No, that's not it. Okay, I don't think we got that one, which is okay. But there's a whole slew of issues, apparently, with this Bills stadium. Now, they're showing pictures of the stadium. It's brand new.
I just loaded it for you. Sorry, I don't know why it wasn't on there before. It's the very last one after the one you just played.
Okay, no big deal. But here's apparently the Buffalo Bills' new stadium, Highmark Stadium, which again, I helped pay for. Thank you very much with my New York taxes. They spend billions of dollars on this thing, right? And apparently, there's some of the sight lines. Like half the sight lines are no good. It's kind of like Fenway Park. Everything is all like blocked off, or you got railings in front of it. More blocked off sight lines. I mean, they spend billions of dollars on this thing, and apparently it's no good. Now, people are on Twitter. I guess this was the first shots they got it this weekend. They're saying the video board, I don't know if you could see that there. Again, the video board is apparently really, really small. Like that video board, that's a kind of a good view of it. The video board is really small. Obstructed views, traffic in and out of the stadium is going to be a mess. Welcome to real world. Not a lot of coverage if there's rain or snow. They felt the wind at a high pitch, even at the field level. Walking up on the fourth floor, the fourth level, it's like a 34% pitch, which, is like climbing a mountain according to some. Some had handrails, some didn't. How about this one? No bathrooms on the fourth level. Really? No bathrooms? Oh, it's just a disaster. It sounds like, anyway, it's just Bill's Mafia. Where was Bill's Mafia when they were building this thing? I thought Mafia was involved in this stuff, in construction, right? That's what the Mafia was built on. Where was the Mafia then? If they're allowing this thing to get approved the way that they built this thing. I'll take it going to Fenway Park just because, it's an old stadium and it is what it is. But a brand new spankling $1 billion, whatever they spend stadium, it better, with my money, is better be sparkling brand new and perfect. Not a lot of obstructed views. Imagine paying an $10,000 fan fee for that, and find out your tickets are behind a wall and you can't see past the 30-yard line. Oh my goodness, amazing. All right, quick little break. We'll talk some NFL football. Best have a lot of TV stations or TV channels at your house if you want to watch all the NFL. We'll get to that. Paul Bovey, professional sports bettor, preview the NFC North when we come back. It is a marvelous Monday on the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStream Sports.
Hi golfers, IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine, it's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. FanStreamSports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tom's Town, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka. Named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tom's Town, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, We make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go!
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show on a marvelous Monday afternoon right here on FanStreamSports.com, FanStreamSports.com. Talk a little NFL. You know, there was only one division last year that had every single team finish over 500, and that was the NFC North. Joining us now to talk a little NFC North football, our good buddy Paul Bovey, professional sports handicapper for sure, writes for VegasInsider.com every once in a while, Wall Street media contributor as well, and a friend to the program. Paul, how you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Great, man. You know, I got stories with obstructed views because I sat behind poles at Yankee Stadium way back in the day. I did. And then onward, when the Knicks reconfigured, I thought I'd get cute, sit first row, upper level, upper deck, move from downstairs. Well, you're behind glass. And it's not fun watching a game behind glass. You kind of lose the live feel of it all. And I went to a game in Mexico, Cardinals 49ers, a couple years ago, and I got stuck behind chicken wire. And StubHub said that it was non-obstructed views, whatever. We left at halftime. Anyway, I got half my money back onward to the NFC North, you know. So obstructed viewing.
To add to that, you know, I'm a Red Sox fan, so we grew up to Fenway Park. I have since a little kid, been there, 10, 15 times, right? Dad's a big Red Sox fan. And me and a buddy of mine from Boston, there's about 35,000 seats. Literally, Paul, there's probably only about 7,000 seats out of the 35,000 or so that are worth anything. Others are way in the outfield. Sun is in your eyes on the third baseline. If you sit on the first baseline, you can't see down the Green Monster because it's blocked off the way those seats are situated. There's poles. You know, it's old school, so they're pole. Even the lower level, if you're sitting behind those, you're sitting behind some poles. So, yeah, obstructive view is nothing new in my life. You know, it's same thing. So,
yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about NFC North? As I said, that's the only division that had a winning team. You know, they all finished at 9-8 or better. We'll start at the top. Chicago Bears, bit of a surprise last year, winning the division. Not Detroit or Green Bay, but your thoughts this year heading into 2026.
All right, so my thoughts this year, they lose 3 guys out of the secondary with a combined 270 tackles, 27 passes defended, and 13 interceptions. I believe Bayard, Wright, and Brisker. Now, I don't think they've done enough to fill that gap. They brought in Bryant, but this is a team that had a turnover differential last year. They led the NFL with a plus 22. Next best was a plus 17. So they really capitalized on those takeaways. But those things tend to even out and or flip from season to season. You're not going to count on a plus 22. That's kind of a random situation. Maybe it's part of it is going after the ball. Could give them some credit for that ball hawking defense, but I just think the Bears are a play to the low side. Now, Williams did advance 27-7 last year. He definitely had a better season, but the leading receiver on that team was the tight end with 713 yards. So I'm going to go under on the Bears here. It's a smaller play at 9.5. But I think this is a vulnerable situation for them.
Yeah, people still haven't, I think, I'll speak for myself. I haven't completely bought into the Bears. We've seen the one-hit wonders. You know, the new head coach, Paul, they're all on board. They get all the breaks. You said it, 22 turnovers, whatever it was, 24 turnovers that go their way. I mean, yeah, it seemed like kind of like Washington 2 years ago when they won all those close games. The last 5 games, they won at the buzzer. Right, that stuff generally doesn't duplicate it as well. It's really, it's nice to see. There's a few teams in this bowl. New England, you can say the same thing. People kind of feel the same way about the Patriots. So I'm on board with the Bears. It's kind of not that I'm negative on them, but I got to see it one more time to believe it type of guy.
I'm pretty negative on the whole division except for one team that I've already put in a sizable overplay on their win total. So we'll go down the list, and I'm going to trash the Packers a little bit, who traded away receiving talent and held on to Watson and Reed. These guys have played 17 games or missed 17 games combined the last 2 years or thereabouts. I think, I'm sorry, they played 17 combined last year. They're injury prone, and I think they gave away talent in Wicks and Dobbs. So I'm just not sold on them. And obviously they had a major hit on defense with the injury. So I'm not sold on the Packers. I would go to the low side of Green Bay here. And it's going to be a tough division, and they'll fight back and forth. But I definitely don't think the Packers are going to get there.
You think he's in trouble there? I made a list last week of different guys that I thought, might be fired. And I put him in different categories. And he was kind of on that list, the LaFleur. You wouldn't think so, right? But there was some buzz last year, Paul, of him maybe not getting a new contract or being fired if things haven't. He's been there 8 years, never got to a Super Bowl, only 3-6 in the postseason, has gotten to 2 title games, NFC title games, obviously losing both. But I'm just curious. You think he's maybe on the hot seat this season?
With these coaches, you never know. We've seen, look what happened with the Knicks last year. I mean, look at Thibodeau.
Yeah.
You figure, all right, this guy's not on the hot seat. He gets fired. And it worked out. So sometimes it's not about getting to the hump. You got to get over the hump. So I'm not sure. I definitely think there are higher expectations for the Packers at this point than to just get to the playoffs and win a game or two. It is the Super Bowl. And do I think they're going to get there? No, I just don't think they have the horses.
Mm-hmm. How about Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings? He's another guy. I put this category as the John Harbaugh hot seat, right? Who expected John Harbaugh to be fired last year? So kind of same thing. How about Minnesota's preview?
So this is the team I went over, and I actually got some value on it because I got 8.5 over 110. You start out with coaching, and you mentioned O'Connell, and then you got Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator. 8.5. They won 9 games last year. They had to survive Carson Wentz, J.J. McCarthy, as well as Max Brosner. And Jefferson still hauled in over 1,000 yards worth of receiving. They lose Naylor, and they bring in Juwan Jennings. I think that's a favorable exchange. Defensively, they lose 3 guys in Greenard, Allen, and one other player who totaled 10.5 sacks. One of them they released. Greenard, they gave away for 2 third-round draft picks. But they still have a lot of iron on that defense, including Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman. They got talented guys in the secondary. Again, they won 9 games last year with that quarterback rotation, and the offensive line was decimated from the outset. In fact, 5 guys on the offensive line, they did not play their first game together until week 12 and only once thereafter in week 14. Kelly was in and out of the lineup. He's gone. Darashaw, again, another guy. The only guy that logged all 17 games was Will Freeze. They do have Jordan Mason. You don't know how much you're going to get out of the lead running back because he's getting up there in age. But Jordan Mason is certainly a capable back, 4.8 yards per carry last year. Aaron Jones, I don't know. So I think the main key here is at quarterback, where you bring in Kyler Murray on the cheap. They paid $4 million to bring his contract over because Arizona's picking up the lion's share. In 2 years ago, 21 touchdowns, 11 INTs. He ran for 7.8 yards per carry. He can only be better. I mean, let's face it,
Right.
he can only be better. They've got the receivers, they've got the running back, they need the offensive line to stay healthy, and this team could potentially win the division.
All right, do you do a reset, or there's some hesitation if, in fact, J.J. McCarthy ends up winning the starting job, or you're just saying that's not going to happen, Scott?
Listen, I don't see any possibility. I think, look, Kyler Murray, remember when he signed his contract and the stipulation about the video games? I mean, you want to keep this guy motivated. You don't want to just hand him the job. Keep him motivated.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy was just he was a liability last year. The last 4 games were respectable, but remember that last game they played the Packers. The Packers just didn't care, so it was just awful. I think we can all agree that J.J. McCarthy landed below expectation. We expected a lot more out of J.J. McCarthy.
Which leads you to my next point with O'Connell, right? I mean, he's got Paul this label of being like the latest offensive guru, right? And I just wonder, like, why? He had Sam Darnold in his lap. He had him for a year. He had a successful Sam Darnold, and he still had to play a role in kicking him out. He had to play a role in drafting J.J. McCarthy. So I don't get this. He's got weapons galore in his 4 or 5 years with Minnesota. 4 years, this will be his 5th year. I don't get the offensive genius thing with Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, look, I might agree with you there, but he could be. He's another guy. He could be better. Let's be realistic. He could be better, but for purposes of my wager,
right,
he doesn't have to be that much better. He doesn't even have to be great. They potentially could be great, I think, if they reach their ceiling. But I'm not going to bank on that. I'm going to bank on 3 teams taking a step back, including the Lions, who we didn't discuss, and the Vikings taking a step forward.
All right. How come you don't like Detroit? Because I think Detroit's over. Boy, at 9.5, when you look at their schedule, man, it's hard for me not to hop all over the Lions. But you seem down on them.
So they just had an injury, Mays, and Mays was replacing Glasgow at center, who was replacing the retired Frank Ragnow. They lose Decker. This team has had some issues on the offensive line, and I just don't think they did enough on defense. Last year, they went through that 5-game stretch towards the end of the season. They gave up 27 plus points every game. There was one game against the Rams, completely, I believe they were lit up. And then, remember that Giant game, Scott? The Giants went absolutely up and down the field and found a way to lose the football game. If I'm not mistaken, it was overtime. But Jackson Dart and company, it was just like cherry picking. I don't think they have the horses on defense. I question that offensive line. There's a lot of, look, they got a great receiver. I mean, let's face it, they got great receivers. But outside of that, I see liabilities in the Lions.
Yeah, 34, looking it up now, 34-27. They ended up winning the football game, but they've got real lucky in overtime, as you were mentioning there. So, all right, so the best bet on the board is for you right now out of the NFC North, the over on the Minnesota Vikings.
Absolutely. I believe I saw the best number I saw right now is 8.5 minus 20. I got minus 10, so not much of a move there, but you can play the alternative line at 9.5 because I do think they're going to get there and they catch a break because I believe they open up with the Packers at home, who were hit with that injury, and that's a very winnable football game. I don't think their schedule is daunting in any way. So the best play in that division right now is the Vikings over, and one of my best over and under season win totals in the conference.
Yeah. It's not a bad schedule. You're right. Look at it now. You know, they got Miami on there. They got the Jets on there. So they play the AFC East. So they got Buffalo and New England, but still, New Orleans is on there. Indianapolis is on the schedule. Atlanta. They play the NFC South. So you got all those easy, relatively easy NFC South teams. Yeah, it's not a bad one, and that's a good job there, Paul. You convinced me to bet the over with them. So, and I'm not a Kyler Murray fan, but definitely not. Hey man,
look, he hasn't. Look, Scott, he hasn't had a stellar career. Right. I believe he's like 2-1, 120 touchdowns, 61 interceptions or thereabouts. But he's not terrible, and he's definitely a step up. I agree with you. Like I'm sitting on pins and needles with him. But the good thing about Kyler Murray is, if his passes aren't accurate, you've got that scampering ability, and he's really good at it.
Yeah. No more excuses for him. If he doesn't get it done with the Vikings, then it's you can label it all Arizona and all the bad players and karma and everything. But with the Vikes, got good head coach. He's got weapons to throw to. This is kind of like a do or die, season for him. So, Paul, great job, man. Do appreciate you spending a couple minutes. I know you're real busy. So you need anything to sell? You want to point out anything to the viewers out there outside of your work for Vegas Insider?
No, I just throw picks here and there on Vegas Insider, but I'm a gamer. I like to play, and I like to share my information. So good luck to everybody this season.
Anytime you want to come back, we'll definitely have you on again. Do appreciate it, Paul.
Okay. Take care, Scott.
Thanks, Paul. All right, Paul Bovey, there you go. Professional. As I told you, he gambles. Guys sell picks and do all that other stuff, and which is fine. Podcast. He just gambles. That's basically it. So his best play is over Minnesota. That's what he's given out a few before, and man, they hit. He knows what he's talking about. It is an easy schedule for the Vikings, and I'm not. You know me, for the LLs and LWs. I bashed Kyler Murray as much as anybody. But if they could survive Green Bay at home, at Chicago, at Tampa Bay, and just don't go 0-3. Even 1-2, which they should be able to get, right? Then they got Miami at home. That's going to be a win. New Orleans, an improving New Orleans team, but they feasted on a bunch of bad teams at the end of last year. They really, if you're a playoff team, you win at New Orleans. Then you get a bye. Then you get Indianapolis at home. I mean, you're looking at, even if you start 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, if you're any kind of team, heading into your gauntlet at Detroit, Buffalo, at Green Bay, San Francisco. That's their, every team seems to have a 3-4 game stretch that's just like, wow, can we survive this? If they can go 4-2, then you go 2-2 out of that stretch. You only have one home game. That's the bad thing. Lions are on the road. Buffalo's at home, Monday night game. Green Bay on the road, and then San Francisco is overseas somewhere, one of the Europe games. Or maybe it's a Mexico game, because that's Sunday night. Neutral site Sunday night for some reason. So I'm not sure where that one's being played. So that 4-gamer, but that, again, if you go 2-2, now you're 6-4. Now you got Atlanta and Carolina at home. At New England, tough, but Detroit at home, Washington at home, the Jets, and then the Bears at home. I mean, if they are, a big question, right? If they are actually halfway decent, then that does have 10 wins written all over it. Let me see what FanDuel has real quickly on them. NFL, FanDuel, for whatever reason, they don't have. I got to open up the. We'll open up. Yeah, we got time. Let me open up DraftKings and see what they have. FanDuel, for whatever reason, doesn't have the over-unders. I don't know what FanDuel is waiting. What do you wait for, the opening kickoff here, FanDuel? I mean, really, geez. They have all these other goofy bets, but here in New York anyway, I know every state is different. I got preseason odds. I got Super Bowl. I got will you make the playoffs, player props, week 1. I don't have over. The most popular bet out there, win totals at this point, and they don't have it. So, DraftKings, though, God bless them, they do. Let's go to Minnesota. They go in alphabetical order. So let's pop on MIN. They're 8.5. Yeah, it makes a good point. If they got 9 wins last year, and they did, you would think they'd be able to get at least 9 this year. So, over 8.5, Minnesota, and I'd probably bump that up to 10 if you're really going to really buy in. So, not easy finding the games this year. One of the guys wrote an article. I forget where I saw it. NFL this year is going to be on NBC. They open up with Seattle and New England, so NBC game, which, by the way, will be streamed live on Peacock and NFL Plus, and then they got Spanish channels. So they're going to be on, and then the next day, you got the Rams-San Francisco game over in Australia. That's streaming exclusively on Netflix. So it's going to hit you right away. Second game of the NFL season, it's going to hit you that you might not be able to watch NFL football all year, right? It's going to be on ESPN, NBC, CBS, Fox, ABC, and the NFL Network. Streaming, it's going to be on Prime Video, Peacock, Paramount, NFL, Netflix, and ESPN Plus. And a lot of these are not like on top of each other like the first game is. A lot of these it's only on Peacock, or it's only on Paramount, or it's only on Netflix. The arguments we're going to be getting. I hear it already, people yelling and screaming about, not being able to watch the NFL because I don't have Telemundo, or I don't have Peacock, or I don't have, Prime Video. What is that? What is Prime Video? I mean, I got it all on my little network. If anyone wants to know what it is, well, just shoot me an email, and for $35 a month is all it costs too. Perfectly legit. I got everything. I got it all. So, not that I don't care about you guys, but, it doesn't really bother me. But I know a lot of people are going to be complaining about this. So, all right, quick little break. We'll put the football aside to have some more college football notes, some more NFL notes, WNBA. But how about some baseball talk? Mark Healy, founder, author of Gotham Baseball, the Rockaway Wave, editor-in-chief, AP writer, does baseball everything. We'll talk to him about the Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, and a whole lot more right here on the Scott Wetzel Show, right here on FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the JP Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. FanStreamSports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka. Named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tom's Town, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
And welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on a Monday afternoon, continuing along hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Talk a little football, hour number 1. We'll get back to that. A little WNBA, some baseball talk, though, taking center stage as we welcome in our next guest. Talk a little local football or baseball here in New York, and then obviously Red Sox and Dodgers and anything else going around the world. Good buddy Mark Keeley, editor-in-chief at the Rockaway Wave, a founder and author at Gotham Baseball, AP writer for baseball, Baseball Digest, online editor, fantasy host over on SiriusXM Fantasy Radio. So what's going on, Mark? How are you this Monday afternoon?
Well, it's great to talk to you, Scott. It's been a long time. The last time I think we spoke was at the winter meetings, I think, in Las Vegas in like 2009. So it's great to be back with you, buddy.
I appreciate it. How about we'll start locally here in New York with the Yankees. Conflicting things. I think it's more optimism, Mark, about Aaron Judge, whether he's really going to play again. I don't know. He's got the rib injury. He's injury prone. He's been out for a while now. You would have thought he would have been back, but it doesn't appear like he's going to be. Same thing with Stanton. Are the Yankees ultimately going to go anywhere without those two?
Well, they're not going anywhere without Judge. I mean, look, they're holding off the Red Sox, as you mentioned. The Red Sox have lost a couple of games, but look, at the end of the day, even if the Yankees find a way, and they have in the past, they've found a way to kind of tread water until the postseason. And Stanton's obviously been a really good postseason player for them.
He has, yeah.
Yeah, but here's the issue. We have no idea. I mean, the Yankees have been very, very mysterious about these guys returning if it's possible. There's been no timeline. They're talking about, Judge hasn't even resumed baseball activities yet. So they're probably going to wait until, until the last minute to let us know if Judge is coming back. I don't see them doing anything without Judge, and definitely, certainly not getting to the World Series without Judge at Stanton.
What do you think, Mark, is the drop-dead date for him? Because they were pointing out this past week in the articles I was reading about how he's generally a slow starter, and he's one of the guys that really does enjoy or at least not enjoy, but uses the exhibition season to kind of get himself going a little bit. So knowing that, what do you think the drop-dead date is for him saying, all right, you know what, if I'm not back by September 15th, September 20th, September 1st, I'm just not going to play then?
I mean, if he hasn't resumed baseball activities in the next 2 weeks, you're looking at, like you said, maybe September 9th and September 10th, something like that, because he's going to need at least a week of rehab before he joins the major league team. So, look, like I said, it's been a mystery because they haven't really shared a lot of information about, so like just look at what they did at the deadline. They needed bullpen help like nobody's business. They needed a catcher. And what did they do? They got, two offensive guys that really have no position, that aren't really, they're just boppers. They're just guys that hit. So, to me, I would think that with the lockout looming, like I was really surprised that Brian Cashman, first time in a decade, Scott, that the Yankees didn't acquire bullpen help, which really made very little sense to me.
Well, here's the $64,000 question here in New York, Mark. Does Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman survive another non-World Series winning season?
I don't know about Aaron Boone simply because, you just never know what Cashman is going to do as far as that's concerned. I mean, Boone's his guy. He fired a much better manager in Joe Girardi to bring Boone in so he would be nicer to the players. It's clear to me, and it's always been clear to me, I think Aaron Boone's a great guy. But to me, the man is just not a championship caliber manager, whereas Joe Girardi was. And Cashman seems to have a lifetime contract with the Steinbrenner family. Yeah. So, I don't see them pulling the trigger on either of them, even if they somehow miss the playoffs, which they won't. I just don't see either of them going anywhere.
It's amazing. I know more, maybe just because the negative people are louder than the positive people. But, Mark, I know a lot more Yankee fans that don't like Cashman and don't like Boone especially. Sure.
Absolutely.
That actually do.
I mean, but that's the thing. The thing is, the negative fans, for whatever reason, look, if I were a Yankee fan, I would be livid about what's happened with the franchise. They used to be a World Series or bust. Now it's like, well, gee willikers, guys, we tried, and like as a Yankee fan, that's got to make you livid. But the media in New York does not go after Brian Cashman. The media in New York does not go after Aaron Boone. And I think that's why, the Steinbrenner family, specifically House Steinbrenner, has not pulled the trigger on either of them.
And they're still putting 40,000 in there, every night. So it's kind of like, do you support your team or don't you support your team? But supporting the team, kind of keeps everything. And I always tell people, if Cashman doesn't go, Mark, then even if they fired Boone, he's not going to hire, Earl Weaver here. He's going to hire the same guy, whether it's Aaron Boone or Joe Schmo, but it's going to be the same personality, the same puppet, the same everything you're getting out of Boone. So it's like,
that's almost every other team in baseball, Scott. Yeah. These GMs, these president of baseball operations, these GMs, they don't want a manager that's going to push back. They don't want a manager sitting at the table. They want a manager to take the order and then go back to the kitchen and fill the order. That's what they want. They want a waiter. They don't want somebody that, to me, which is crazy, but they don't want that. So, and in this world of analytics, very, very few guys like, Tito Francona, there's very few guys like that, today. And look, I think the team that does the best at it, obviously, is the Dodgers with Dave Roberts. But, even Dave, I'm sure he has his marching orders too.
Yeah. Speaking of the Dodgers, what do you make of this? 1-8 now, their last 9. They're in third place now as far as standings go in the National League as far as best record, which I was bringing up earlier, Mark. That puts them in a position to maybe face a Philadelphia Phillies Sanchez Wheeler team in the first round or a Cubs team that just swept them. I mean, there is something, I'm not in favor of the baseball playoff situation, but if you don't finish with the best record, you put yourself in one of those goofy best of threes where anything can happen. What do you make of this Dodger run?
Well, look, I mean, obviously they've been playing terrible, right? They still have a very, very large lead. I think it's 7.5 games over the Padres, who can't get out of their own way.
I think we lost them.
Oh dear.
I mean, looks
at
the Dodgers and says, "Oh well, look, Edwin Diaz can't get anybody out. They gave him all this money. What are they, 2-7 in their last 9? They lost 7 in a row, 8 in a row. I'm not worried about the Dodgers, Scott. I'm not. They have too much talent. They have too much. They've generated so much winning over the last year, 2 years. I'm not worried about them. I'm certainly not worried about the Cubs. Regular season is nonsense. Maybe I'm biased because I hate the Cubs, like with a passion. But, to me, I'm not worried about the Dodgers. I don't think having or not having the bye is going to affect them that much. They're just that good. They're that smart about how they go about their business. This is just a lull. Now, if this was September, we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah, so I'm thinking more Philadelphia and Milwaukee. You're right, the Cubs and even Arizona. But if they had to face Philadelphia with Sanchez and Wheeler in games 1 and 2, or the Brewers with Mizorowski and a healthy Kyle Harrison maybe, it doesn't look like Woodruff is coming back. But, that just puts them like their pitching is overwhelmingly deep when everyone is healthy. But in a best of three, if I could throw, Wheeler and Sanchez and Luzardo, maybe Jesus, at you, that's a pretty good three where we can get you into your bullpen and make it a close game. So,
Look, I see what you're saying. I get it. And Arias makes the Philly lineup a lot better.
right.
But, they're horrible defensively. Their bullpen is not great. And starters don't go 8 innings in the playoffs. And the Phillies, let's be honest, the Phillies have not been
lose them again.
Great regular season team. But they can't get out of their own way in the playoffs either. So if I'm a betting man, I'm betting the Dodgers.
How about this? I brought this up yesterday when I was working over at Sports Grid. Tampa Bay, right? Who thinks Tampa Bay's winning the World Series? Nobody, right? Meanwhile, they got the best record in the American League, right, Mark? So they're at this point, it looks like they're going to get home field advantage. It would take a pretty good collapse for them not to. They're still 16-1 to win it all. And I was saying yesterday, buy a ticket now at 16-1 to win it all. Let me just double check and make sure they still are. But they were in that ballpark to make the playoffs. Yeah, World Series. Buy that ticket because 15-1. They're going to get the first round bye, so they're not going to deal with the best of three. They could easily win the American League, right? Who in the American League is really that daunting? And then you got a 16-1 ticket or 15-1 ticket right now against maybe the Dodgers. They'll be heavy underdogs, but they're not going to be 15-1 underdogs. How about buying into Tampa Bay, believe it or not?
Well, again, if I was a betting man, I'd buy that ticket, because the Rays very quietly, even.
Yep.
Freddie Peralta got ripped. They got Liam Hicks, who, I don't know. I still don't know why the Marlins traded him. It would have been nice, for them to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Look, I think the Rays are every bit as good as any other team in the American League and could easily win that pennant and be in the World Series. And I think, just based on what we've seen, look, we've seen Tampa with worse teams get to the World Series. So, I loved what they did at the deadline. They didn't give up a lot. They always have a ton of prospects. They play smart baseball. They play good baseball. They're not afraid of anyone. When's the last time, the Rays, you watched a series with the Rays against the Yankees, for instance? They're not afraid of the Yankees.
Right.
The Rays go out and they play good baseball. And for me, I like to see teams like that, that kind of, even though they have a great record, could still consider it an underdog because most people can't name 3 of their players.
It's true. Last 2 from you. My Red Sox. I was saying earlier, I generally don't bet them. You would think that, 30-5, whatever they were, I'd be a millionaire by now. But no, because I don't bet them. I don't want to put the black cloud on them. And I gave that up this weekend thinking there's no way in the world they're losing to, if not the worst team in baseball, certainly the coldest team in baseball, the A's. And the A's go into Fenway Park market and take 2 out of the 3. So is this the beginning of the end for them? Are the first 50 games the Red Sox or the second 50 games the Red Sox?
Look, I still think, it's just, to me, baseball, the Red Sox season is a microcosm of being a baseball fan, right? Because 2 months ago, everybody and their brother wanted everybody with the Red Sox fired.
Right.
This guy's terrible. The general manager's terrible. The owner's got to sell the team, and now here we are talking about them possibly making a run at the division. Certainly, they took care of business against the Yankees. They have a very good shot of passing the Yankees and being the second wild card team. I don't think it's the beginning of the end, but I do think they overpaid for Rutschman. I do. I think that was a big overpay, and he's not. Has he even been activated yet? No,
not yet. They're thinking maybe today, but they said that over the week. Every game I was watching, they said the same thing. Maybe today, and so far no.
Look, I like the way they play. I like. I think Fenway is an intimidating place for a lot of people, despite them losing, but. I like the Red Sox to stay in this. I certainly think they have a very good chance of passing the Yankees. And, if they get hot, they could beat anybody too. They've come out of nowhere, where like it was baseball Armageddon, for them earlier this season. And what they've been able to accomplish, just incredible winning streaks, staying consistent, getting every aspect of their game. I think that their deadline was weird. I would have liked to have seen them maybe, make a couple of more moves. This was kind of a spot where, Breslow could have really kind of pulled the trigger on something really interesting, but they chose not to. So, we'll see.
Last one. What do you make of the Mets? How do you explain 15 games under 500? Where do you go? People hate each other. Lindor hates Sosa, and back and forth, or Soto rather. What do you make of that debacle?
Look, David Stearns, who's the president of baseball operations, gambled way too many things this offseason. It's one thing if you're going to let Pete Alonso go. You don't bring in Jorge Polanco to replace him.
Right.
It's one thing to trade a guy like Brandon Nimmo, but you trade him for a Marcus Semien, regardless of the fact that Semien's hit a couple of homers in the last couple of weeks now that they're completely out of it. You let go or trade or, kind of implode what was a core that, some people said couldn't win. But yet 2 years ago, they were 2 games away from the World Series. Last year, they missed the World Series by a game. Their season was basically over with the 12-game losing streak in April. Yeah. I think the Lindor-Soto thing is kind of, look, they don't like each other. I don't think they're pals or anything like that. But I think the media kind of over, like that whole kind of feud thing or clubhouse fracture, I thought was a little enabled and a little overblown. They didn't lose, or they haven't been losing games because of, Soto and Lindor disagree on fashion. It's because David Stearns in 2 years has taken a good pitching staff and made it a horrible pitching staff. And now that these young guys are starting to, kind of play well, and some of the young pitchers are playing well, they're saying, oh, this was the plan, develop. No, that was not the plan. The plan was to go to the World Series this year, not to start developing the farm, not to start injecting. I mean, yes, I think they wanted to get younger and more athletic. But again, Bo Bichette, who's been great for the last couple of weeks, was invisible. The first half of the season, just completely invisible. And that was one of the reasons why, they are where they are. And, you lose those. Look, Met fans are angrier than I've ever seen them in my lifetime.
Yeah. In
my lifetime. And we're talking about the Mets, so there's been a lot of losing, in Flushing. A lot. This team, this fan base hates this team more than the Eddie Murray, worst money could buy Bobby Bonilla team.
Yeah.
That's how bad things are in Flushing.
Saberhagen with the
bleach.
ammonia bleach, in the locker room,
It's Coleman throwing cherry bombs at fans.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that one too. Yeah. They really did. The expectations were through the roof the last couple of years with the new owner coming in, and it just hasn't happened. Yeah.
I'm like, Scott, look, he fooled me. Like when I went into the season, I picked the Mets to win the NL East.
Yeah.
I felt like I thought the Peralta deal was great. I thought bringing in Bichette to replace Alonso, or at least replace his spot in the lineup. And I thought the younger guys, that were with the team, like a Vientos and a Brett Beatty, I thought those guys would contribute. Francisco Alvarez and those guys.
Peralta, I think picking up Peralta in a walk year of a contract was smart too.
Sure, but he was terrible. He was terrible. Yeah. He just, and again, is he hurt? We haven't reported any injuries. Yeah. But he just kind of went south like right away. This isn't a 35-year-old guy that they picked up at the end of his career. This was a guy, as you said, coming off a fantastic season with the Brewers. Was he an ace? No, but I think the Mets at least expected him to be a solid number one starter. to kind of give the bullpen a break every 5 days. Right. He was terrible.
Amazing. Mark, great job, man. Do appreciate it. Check out where can people find you the easiest and the most often?
The best way to find me as you know is on Twitter at Mark C. Healy, MarkChealey.
Mark, great job, man. Anytime you want to come on again, you're certainly welcome. Do appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Mark. Mark Healy, there you go. Founder, author at Gotham Baseball as well, editor-in-chief, The Rockaway Wave, AP writer, SiriusXM fantasy host as well. So talking some good baseball with him. Yeah, the Met fan, I will tell you, is because the expectation, they've always been the back seat to the Stanky fan, right? And the Yankees have had all the success, and the Mets were always, the stepchild. And now they had a new owner coming in who's a huge Met fan. He's a billionaire. He's going to spend all this money, and he did. He really did get Verlander and Scherzer and made all the moves that you're supposed to make, signing Soto away from the Stankies, right? There's an opening, and it still hasn't worked out. It's still, and this year in particular, it is especially bad. So it's not easy being a Met fan here. In a lot of ways, it's probably the toughest. When you start doing the dynamics of living in New York and New Jersey and what fan base you are, the Islander fan is they're second class to the Ranger fan, but the Islander fans have a hell of a lot more Stanley Cup championships. So the Islander fan is just like, well, whatever. We don't care. We got our 4 Stanley Cups. We're fine. We're good. Don't worry about it. So they'll go toe-to-toe with the Ranger fan. The Giant and Jet fan, while the Giant, has had obviously more success, and there is now the same old Jets thing. But the Jets have had their moments. It's not that big of a backseat to the Giants, even though the Giants, fan base wise, is probably 3-1 Giants to Jets, if not more, depending on where you live. Over in Jersey, it's probably like 6-1. But here on Long Island, you get some Jet fans. But it's kind of an even thing. It's the Met thing, because the Yankees have been just so good, right? And it just gets thrown in their face year after year after year. So it is tough for being a Met fan. And then we'll see about the Red Sox. But that's not a bad bet. I brought this up. They're 15-1 Tampa Bay. Now, I'm rooting for the Red Sox, but this is about making money, right? 15-1. They're behind the Yankees and Red Sox in the, boys in Vegas standings. Yankees are 7-1. Red Sox are 11-1. So they're the actual third choice. Now, do I really think they would beat the Dodgers in a head-to-head series or the Phillies or maybe anybody else? Probably not, right? I give them a shot against, Arizona or the Cubs or even the Braves. But, the big boys, probably not. But that's not the point. Point is, could they win the American League? Absolutely. They have a 5.5-game lead over the Stanks, 7 over the Red Sox. They're more than likely going to get that number 1 seed, which means no opening first best of 3, which means you don't have to deal with that nonsense. And you can align your pitching staff up perfectly. Everyone's going to be rested. Maybe the Yankees get knocked out in the first round. Maybe the Red Sox do. Tampa Bay versus the White Sox, Tampa Bay versus Houston, the boys in Vegas seem to think that there's another team that the rest of the world doesn't know about in the American League. That they would be such a 15-1, underdog. I don't get it, so get them to win the American League. They'll probably, let's say best case scenario or worst case scenario. It's the Dodgers versus Tampa Bay, but if the Devil Dogs have to go through the Yankees or hot Red Sox team, that will, improve their image, with gamblers. And if that's the case, they probably would be 3, maybe 4-1. And you don't get too many. In baseball, you don't get the crazy numbers like you do in the NBA, where you could have a monster favorite, right? Even the Spurs were a monster favorite over the Knicks. And, the old Laker teams and the old Bulls teams and everything, those were 4-5-1 favorites. You do get that, but you don't generally get that in baseball. So I think at worst, it would be 4-1. And God forbid Tampa Bay should win a game, game number 1, and then it would really drop down to maybe 2-1 or so, $1.50. Now you could really hedge. So it's not a bad bet. and 15-1 with Tampa Bay. It really isn't. And the Red Sox are even the Red Sox. The only one that might be, because the Yankees are only 7-1. But that number is built on Judge and Stanton coming back. If you told the boys in Vegas these guys are definitely done, they would not be 7-1. They would go way, way higher than that. So, but even the Red Sox, you can do the same philosophy as Tampa Bay with the Red Sox at 11-1. Get them into the World Series. And I think they would be lesser underdogs because they're a public team than what Tampa Bay would be. It wouldn't be pick'em. I don't know. You have to figure out the record-wise. Probably the Dodgers that would have home field advantage. But still, I bet it wouldn't be much more than 2, maybe 2.5 to 1, something like that's what I'm guessing. So you'd have plenty of room to hedge with the Red Sox as well. And that's what you got to do nowadays. You can't do that with your local Louis the Lip. God forbid you should ever do that, right? You imagine that back in the heyday, never happened. Right? But nowadays they leave it open. They almost encourage you. You want to hedge, go ahead and hedge. Put 2 bets in. So take advantage of the computer. There are downsides to the computer, but there's definitely upsides to the computer, and that's one of them. Being able to hedge a little bit. So, all right, got a couple things. We'll take a break, and then we'll come back. We got a couple college football notes I want to get to. We'll get into the WNBA. We can't let that go. There was something on Twitter a moment ago. I don't know if it's real or not. It's a shame you can't really trust Twitter anymore. We got someone's birthday today that I think everyone is dear to their hearts. And then a little LIV golf as well. So more coming up. It is a Monday on the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka. Named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out OrionGolf.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show, 3:30 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. We are here every day, 2 to 4 p.m., roughly 4 p.m. Eastern Time, taking a look at the world of sports and then some. So, big breaking news today, although not really breaking, but still, Enes Kanter made it official.
So official, I just declared for the 2027 WNBA draft in April. Join me in this journey.
Enes Kanter Freedom decided he's going to throw his hat into the WNBA.
The WNBA does not ban men who identify as women right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one prospect in the history of the WNBA.
Now, you know, the more I listened to that, I thought maybe that was me, believe it or not. Depending on what speaker. Now it sounds like my boy Chris Russell, who I used to work with over at Sporting News Radio. Let's play this again.
Kanter Freedom decided he's going to throw his hat into the WNBA.
The WNBA does not ban men who identify as women right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one.
Doesn't that sound like me a little bit? A little. Like, again.
No, it does big time. Like, a lot.
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
Right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one prospect.
So, I don't know if that's me. I probably said it somewhere along. Everyone's probably said it, but it does kind of sound like me a little bit. But it sounded like me a lot more when I was listening to it on my other computer versus the computer that you guys are putting it through. So, but anyway, pretty funny though, right? That would be funny if they took one of our clips already. So Enes Kanter makes it official, as you heard there from my producer Tim. 6'10", this would just be great. The WNBA is just a cluster you-know-what of issues. It really is. They have, every time they turn around, there's another one. We'll get to the Dejanay Carrington situation here in a bit, but if Kanter does this, he's got lawyers that are willing to represent him and fight for his Fairness and Representation Act, whatever the fuck that is. Like, if the WNBA, which says transgender people, that they've made open proclamations that they are welcome in their league, which is so stupid. But if they say that, and you get a guy that says, well, I vision myself as a woman, I don't know why any guy would ever want to be a woman, to tell you the truth, but whatever. If it means collecting a paycheck in the WNBA, you got him and you got the other dude. So Kanter made it official today, sending out that tweet today. This is funny. This is just take a stand, WNBA. I guess they have, but take a different stand. Just say no. They're not women. They're not, right? Nothing against those people. I'd hate to, honestly, I would hate, they're freaks, right? They are. And I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way, but, they're not normal. So I would hate to be in that position. I'd hate to be a guy and really think I'm a female, or hate to be a female and really think I'm a guy. I mean, but there's so many avenues, right? You could be, if you're a guy and you like guys, you just be gay. That's more acceptable. All right, I'm just gay. It's like the dopey Bruce Jenner thing, which is why I don't buy into a lot of this crap, right? Bruce Jenner thinks all of a sudden now he's a woman, right? So when they asked him, oh, by the way, a couple of years ago when this all became popular, so does that mean you like guys? He's like, no. Well, wait a minute now. You're a guy who thinks he's a woman, but still likes women. So you're going to be a guy turning into a woman to be a lesbian? Is that what you're telling us, really? Why don't you just stick to being a guy? This way you can just like women. I mean, so a lot of this crap is just that. I don't buy a lot of it. I really don't. And any parent, I may not have been the greatest parent in the world, but any parent that would let their 12, 13, 14, and even younger person boy or girl think he's the opposite sex and encourage that is just, should be thrown in jail as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, Enes Kanter makes it official today, and Enes Kanter Freedom is his name now, is, who knows, maybe playing in the WNBA. What would they do? This guy would dominate. I mean, as that French player would, the one that's playing overseas. At least that one, has a little bit of history with this stuff, whereas Kanter doesn't necessarily, but, you open those can of worms to people, doing things and saying that that's okay, then, all right, open it up, and let us play in your league then. And then if they didn't, then there'd be a lawsuit conspiracy that you're keeping me out of the league, which you can't do. Then you got the Sophie Cunningham, Dejanay Carrington situation. I knew that name kind of rang a bell, but I thought, Carrington, right? Okay. Turns out someone sent out on Twitter that she's the daughter of Darren Carrington. Remember him? I do remember him. Played in the NFL, San Diego Chargers, defensive back. Pretty good player from what I remember. 8 years in the league. So she didn't come up in the city streets and living on the dirts of the sidewalk. She went to a private school in San Diego. She went to Stanford. So for her, she had as many privileges as anybody, right? I mean, a rich father. So anyone in there trying to, the white privilege thing that she sent out after the incident, well, who's kidding who? She's trying to be like Ja Morant. Ja Morant's the same thing. He wants to pretend he's this ghetto guy. Meanwhile, he had outstanding parents and grew up in a great neighborhood. Parents were I don't know about wealthy, but they were well-to-do. He didn't grow up in a city, and he wants to pretend he's a hood. Same thing with this woman, I suppose. But, her knocking Sophie Cunningham in the head, listen, that's going to happen. Hard foul, okay, I get it. It's not right. She got kicked out. At least the officials did the right thing. They kicked her out. So it is what it is. But then for her to go in the locker room and send out a tweet, 10 seconds later, literally, white privilege. Really? You went to Stanford. You grew up in a private school. Who's talking about privilege here? You're more privileged than 90% of the people in the WNBA, I imagine. So, and then even all that stuff, whatever. It's just two broads fighting, whatever, right? I'm waiting for a fight, though. I am waiting for an actual fist fight, jerseys being ripped off. I will say this about the women. They will get in each other's faces, and we've seen pulling of the hair by Carrington against a player. But we haven't seen the fist fights just yet. But it's getting close. It's getting real close. And for the dopey head coach, we brought her up before many times with Caitlin Clark. This Indiana Fever head coach is an idiot. I mean, I don't know how you talk about alienating a locker room. She's defending Carrington. I mean, Carrington nearly decapitates Sophie, knocks her to the ground, right? And she gets kicked out, Carrington, and then afterward, you think the head coach would be like, this is wrong, you can't have this, blah, 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 right? She's defending Carrington, saying, oh, yeah, well, that's the type of player she is. Boy, she's real gutsy. You can't get any open layups with her. Boy, that's how we like it. I'm like, what? How could you be that stupid? How could you hate your own player? And she's even white. It's not even like a black-white issue with that. There are two major issues in the WNBA. The jealousy issue and the black-white issue. And that's why, if you need Adam Silver, the worst commissioner in the history of sports, to step in and run your league or give you some direction, it's a bad thing. He can't run, the NBA has their own issues between tanking and stars not wanting to play and all the other, no defense, 135 to 125 games. The NBA's got its own issues. You don't have to go to that bozo and get direction. But if you can't, the one thing about sports, right, no matter what it is, no matter what the sport is, I don't know one fan that ever said to me, I don't want that person on my team because he's black. Or I don't want that person on my team because he's Jewish. Or I don't want that person on my team because he's Catholic or white or whatever the person. It's the beauty, maybe the most perfect, beautiful thing about sports. All that stuff gets thrown out the window. Maybe back in the 70s, honestly, with black quarterbacks, I know that was a struggle, right? That just wasn't normal back then. Maybe a little bit back then. But, from the 80s on, that's sports. We don't care if you're black, white, green, purple. We don't care if you're gay, straight, knock yourself out. We don't care if you're Jewish, Catholic, atheist, whatever the case may be. If you could throw a football, by golly, I want you on my team. If you could run a ball, if you could throw a baseball 100 miles an hour, or you could score 35 points a game, I don't care what you do off the court. Just do it on the court. We want you. That's the best thing about sports. It just takes all that political nonsense off the plate for just a little while. I don't care if my quarterback is green, yellow, whatever. Who cares? I want to win a Super Bowl, right? And the WNBA is taking all that and throwing it out the window and saying no. There is no doubt in my mind. It's not 100% black-white with Caitlin Clark, but this would not be happening if she was black. Just say it like it is. Right? Are there white players that are jealous of her? Absolutely. And that's what it is. There's the jealousy and the black-white issue. And the white players absolutely are jealous of her for some stupid reason. She's brought nothing but millions and millions of dollars into this league. She's brought it single-handedly. She has personally, single-handedly brought this league into the middle of America and made you so much money with these contracts, and there's just a jealousy with women. That's how women are. They're all freaking nuts, right? They're all bitchs, right? Guys are all jerks, and women are all bitches. Simple as that. And they can't accept the fact that, she came into our league without any experience whatsoever and is getting all this attention. Who cares? Who cares? She's doubling your contract. But that's and with the black-white, same thing. There's no doubt, just say it, right? Just if she was black, since the majority of the league is black, this wouldn't be happening. It just wouldn't be happening with her. It just wouldn't. And now you got Sophie, another white person, good-looking person, doing her own little thing on Twitter and getting all the attention, and they're all saying the same thing. Oh, she's not any good. Why is she getting all the attention? Caitlin Clark, she's not the best player in the league. Why is she getting all the attention? The jealousy is just like, and it is, basically divided down the line of black and white. Everything that all the other sports have done to throw all that nonsense out of the equation just for a little while, like I said, the WNBA's not. They're bringing it all back. They're making it all a black-white issue, and it shouldn't be. It really, this league, and you get, the head coaches like you have with the Indiana Fever, who are bozos, white, a bozo, not even defending their own players. I've seen players be 100% wrong, or 99.999% wrong, and the head coach would still defend the player because that's my guy, that's my girl. I got to defend her. Meanwhile, you got the Fever head coach who's talking about, oh, wow, what Dejanay Carrington, what a great player she is. Oh, she's a tough one, boy. Oh yeah, I don't mind that at all. What an idiot. If this coach is still coaching Indiana next year, I don't know what, then you won't have Cunningham and you won't have Caitlin Clark. I don't know how long their contracts last, but you know what? We don't need the WNBA. I hate to say it because I got two daughters, both played sports. I got one still playing sports in college. So I appreciate, basketball and all the other sports that the women play. I do. But we don't need to bring the country. We got enough issues in this country. We don't need to have the dopey WNBA start a black-white race issue. And that's exactly what it's turning into. Exactly. So, stupid. And then, like I said, the head coach. If the WNBA knew what they were doing, they would honestly, and I don't think they will, they would suspend Carrington for a good 5 games. The penalty of taking someone's head off, basically, and then sending out a tweet, white privilege, and starting a race riot. If that's not worth a 4 or 5 game suspension to really lay down the law, just say enough, then I saw something on Twitter. I don't know. Twitter nowadays, you can't trust anything, right? You just, So it comes from someone tweeting something out that's got, a lot of followers, but, so that doesn't mean it's necessarily not phony. But it was the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, the dingbat that she is, saying that they're going to have an investigation. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, but we don't need an investigation. We saw what happened, Just take the two aside and figure out, what she did was wrong and lay down a penalty. But it's just nuts. Just nuts. By the way, speaking of women in sports, remember last week we told you about the Tour de France, women's Tour de France story about how they were all upset about the bras and everything. Like they were using padded bras because they figured women with bigger knockers would have an advantage. A true story. True story, right? If you didn't see it. They had a big fight about this. So anyway, the tour did end, and Demi Vollering of the Netherlands won. First woman to win 2 Tour de France women's titles. So just to follow up on that, if you're into that. Happy birthday, Snoopy. How about that? Snoopy, 76 years old. It was on this date back in 1950 that Charles Brown and Company made the debut of Snoopy. You want throw a little something at the water cooler. You could bring that up. Couple other little things. We got to have our proverbial. We always do these. We usually do Sophie, but we got hers in there. How about a little Notre Dame football talk? Here is deep. How great is Notre Dame football these days? Here's DB coach Aaron Henry summing it all up.
He has a great statement. He says that Notre Dame will change your life if you let it. I've never had so many people reach out and ask for tickets in my life. All right, I got a family of 4, and we only get 4. But I will say this place is truly special, and I think it's due in large part because of the people. Coach Freeman creates an atmosphere that's unlike any other atmosphere I've ever been a part of. My children have probably been to his house more than they've been to Walmart. Right, he's created a real family dynamic and atmosphere, and it's truly special. The last time they went, they didn't want to go home, so that's a problem. You know what I mean? But I can't speak enough to just the environment he's created in the building, the environment that Coach Ash has created for us on defense. I ain't got to be nobody but myself. And when you have that kind of chemistry with this staff and this brotherhood, you want to coach or tail off for leaders like that.
Yeah, there you go. I tell you, Marcus Freeman, he's going to be the next. I'll just say this because he's black, but he's got like Mike Tomlin written all over him as far as being a star. Just like, man, you never hear anything bad about him, which is cool. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and not that I didn't think it was possible, but he has taken Notre Dame to the next level. Brian Davis was good, or Brian Kelly rather was good. Got him to a national championship game and everything, but these Notre Dame teams are like, man, so much that they've taken the next step over Freeman. They love him there, doesn't seemingly do anything wrong. I know he was approached, at least the report said anyway, that he was approached by the Giants and maybe some other NFL teams, and he stood firm at Notre Dame. I don't know how long he's going to stay there. But he's got a recruiting machine now going, which is not easy as an independent. And, boy, he's just terrific. You could see, he's just got stardom written all over him. Just well-spoken, good-looking dude. Doesn't yell, doesn't scream. Like I said, players seem to like him. I know the schedule this year it turned out to be, probably relatively easy, but he's got to get him into the playoffs again this year. Things could be a lot worse at Notre Dame. So they hit a home run with that one. I was a little disappointed that Kelly left, especially going to just the cash cow LSU. But, a lot of that I thought was just, okay, he figured he could reach his peak, and he did at Notre Dame, and he can't get, over the hump. So you get out before they kick you out. Not that they would have kicked him out, but didn't know much about Freeman other than he was on the staff and everything. And the players liked him. They voted them all in. But I always said, and I hear that from time to time, right? But I always say, like, the players are going to be here for another year, maybe 2. You're hiring a head coach based on people's feelings, and these people are going to be gone in a year. So why would you do that, right? But, boy, they hit a home run. So you hear stuff like that all the time. How about the little golf, little LIV, surviving maybe the Live Golf Tour, Bryson DeChambeau?
Look, I love GSC. They've been with me my entire career. I think they've been fantastic in what they've done for me. So all positive things to say about GSC. I don't know the mechanics of the conversations between the investor and GSE. What I can tell you is that the investor, from the conversations I've had, has a new and fresh vision on this product. It won't be changing too much, but it'll be changing in the right ways. He sees the vision. He wants to pursue it even more than what we've previously done, and he's excited from what I can tell. I think, again, if we're able to get the players all aligned, which I feel like it'll happen at some capacity. I think it'll happen. This is going to be a product that will be a force for good in the game.
All right, there you go, Bryson DeChambeau. It's funny. They got new investors now, so the LIV is going to stay afloat, supposedly. But no one seems to be revealing who these investors are. He's even spoken to them for whatever reason. I did like the fact he said they have new investors with a new and fresh vision. And then 2 seconds later saying, but they won't be changing too much. Which one is it? Do they have a new, fresh vision? Or don't they? Because a new, fresh vision means change in my world. It means, okay, what we've been doing is wrong or it's old. We want to change it. We want to go left instead of right. But it won't be changing too much, he says. In other words, it's just, you know what? We got a sucker that gave us, how many more hundreds of millions of dollars? That's really what he's saying, and thank God for that. I can collect my money. They owe me $50 million a year. I would lose that if we didn't have any investors, and we got some sap that's going to pony up, another couple of $100 million. Cha-ching, cha-ching. That's what that says. He doesn't know what to freaking say. I mean, how goofy is that? How about Washington Commander Sam Cosmi talking about the new signing that they got, what's-his-face, Stephon Diggs. Get a load of this.
Him, seen some games of his, any impressions?
I mean, he's a heck of a ball player. From a perspective of media, I wouldn't let him date my sister, so I don't know where that came.
Some games of his, any impressions?
How funny is that?
I mean, he's a heck of a ball player. From a perspective of media, I wouldn't let him date my sister. So I don't know where that came locker room. So we'll see if that's a true thing.
Oh yeah, that's based on him having 5,000 different kids with 5,000 different women. How funny is that, Sam? Good for Sam to speak out and just say what everyone else is thinking, right? I don't know how that's going to go over too well in the locker room, but it is what it is. So we got some baseball plays to give out before we hit the little YouTube chat and then check out the emails and texts as well. So let's go to the baseball board. Last we left you, we hit another winner. We had 17-8 last week. 17-8, not bad. All right, so we picked up, if you're a $100 player, you picked up $620 last week. Cha-ching, cha-ching. So we'll start in the WNBA, actually. Got 2 games, none really. Atlanta's laying 14.5 against Toronto. I don't like that. The over-under, is 187.5. Neither team can play any defense. And the other one is the Sky versus the Storm, 2 of the worst teams in the WNBA. So it's, if you had to, I would take Chicago just because Seattle is that bad. But that would be a stay away from me. Baseball's not great either. I am going to go reverse. I kind of like the Blue Jays. I really do. I'm not saying that to put the black cloud on them, but they're playing, a little bit better, but more so the Red Sox are, they lose 2 in a row. They got Sonny Gray on the hill. They used to play really well up in Toronto. Then it kind of flipped and they don't. Boston is a -150 favorite. We mentioned this on Friday's show. That was the first. The Red Sox were a -170, 180 favorite. And that was the first time in this streak that they've been that big of a favorite. All the other games, they were either an underdog or they were right around 140, 130, really modest. And we were pointing it out. It's like, wow, this team's playing great. It's only -130 today, 135. Friday, it flipped to 180. Now, it was the A's. I get that. They won, and then the next two, they were minus like 250 or so, and they lost both. And now they're on the road against a Blue Jays team that's fighting for its life, and the Red Sox are minus 153. The boys in Vegas have finally flipped on this team. It took 35 or so games, but now they're making them monster favorites. If this game was played last week, the Red Sox would be pick 'em. So I like Toronto plus the 140 or so. That's one. There's not a lot. I like the Diamondbacks, playing great baseball. Boy, I tell you what, taking 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. They host the Colorado Rockies. A little bit of a letdown, but they got Soroka on the hill. He's 8-3 with an ERA just over 3, so he's done really well. And it's not just the Dodgers series. This Diamondbacks team is now 14-8 since the All-Star break, including 8-3 their last 11. Not bad. Now you got the Patsy, Colorado coming to town. Moment of truth here. You could take 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, but you got to follow that up. And that's with the spot they're in right now with the Rockies coming to town. You got to lay the 1.5. I'll do that. It's minus 194. Won't ask you to do that, even though you got enough profits to do that. But I'll take Arizona minus the 1.5 runs. And then the last one, believe it or not, I'm going to take Kansas City. They're facing the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers are in first place. I know the Royals are in last place. I know the Dodgers are great, and I know the Royals suck. I get all that. But the way the Dodgers are pitching or are playing right now, losing 8 of 9, they're 3-10 their last 13. They're 9-15 their last 24. This is more than just a little old stretch here. It really is. And as I told you, they're not good against lefties. So what? Well, Kansas City's pitcher tonight is a left-handed pitcher. Dodgers are 51-30, 21 games over 500 against the righty, only 19-18 against lefties. 37 games, like we told you earlier, is a pretty good sample size. This guy pitching for the Royals isn't horrible. Noah Cameron, 6-8 ERA of 4.37. That's not that bad. On the road, his ERA is 3.5, so he actually pitches better on the road for whatever reason. So I won't take, I'll wimp out a little bit, and I won't take the Royals straight up. I'll take them plus a 1.5. And if they end up winning the game, then, we start our sentence with, we only won. And if you start a sentence with, we only won, then it's going to be a pretty good sentence. So you could grab them on the money line at plus 240, or you could take them plus a 1.5 at even money. I'll take Kansas City. Dodgers are the worst run line team in baseball this year. So they've only won 49 games this season by 2 runs or more. So they have some 30 wins with being only 1 run, and they throw on all the losses. So they're way under 500, laying a 1.5. I'll take Kansas City with lefty on the hill, laying a 1.5. So we got a dog in Kansas City, but plus 1.5. Dog in Toronto, plus FanDuel has it at plus 142. And then Arizona laying the 1.5 at plus 102 odds. We're laying the 1.5 against Colorado. So all at halfway decent place, I think, tonight. We'll skip the WNBA. Let's check the YouTube chat board, by the way. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got 1,000 people watching us right now. Just if I can get 1 out of every 10 of you, just hit that subscribe button, and then we can have some YouTube chats back and forth. So, our good buddy, Timmy in Pittsburgh, Painter is on the hill for the Phillies. He is. He's pitched a little better in the one time he came back. They did lose that game. I will say he was one of our favorite go-against guys. Andrew Painter, the rookie pitcher for Philadelphia. He was he was brutal. So we went against him, and then finally they sent him down to the minors. I think this is his second start back. He's going up against St. Louis. You could throw the Cardinals in there as well. If you want to put a 4th play, I'll take St. Louis plus 104, 105 against Painter. Or go over team total, Cardinals. Let's see if they got it at 3.5. If they got it at 3.5, then that's definitely the way to go. If it's 4.5, I don't like doing that too much. Cardinal team total Yeah, 4.5. I don't like to really ask for 5 runs. So I would just take St. Louis plus the 104. So he also mentioned something about there's that one. He mentioned something about Hillbilly John, one of our podcast guys, who had a pretty good Tiger Woods angle. We'll just say. Our good buddy Michael Grant, Yankee fans putting George Lombard Jr. in the Hall of Fame before Judge. Yeah, you know what? The guy's been terrific, though. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's only been about a half a dozen games, but he's got a couple of home runs. He's actually hitting the baseball. All these other dopey Yankees aren't. So good for him. You know what? He's actually done well. So we can not necessarily root for him. He's a stanky, but that's okay. We could deal with that. Any update going on? Yeah, I got this thing from Engelbert. I'll take a look and see if this is real or not. But she just basically said that they're going to investigate if that's really her. You can't trust anything on AI nowadays. You really just have to be real careful. There's so much stuff that's just phony. No, happy birthday to Snoopy all around the board. Got a couple of more Sophie Cunningham. We'll do that more tomorrow. But it's amazing. You hit on some of these things and you get a lot of them. We'll just say better or say that. And then let's check the emails here. See if we got any good emails. Got to have Brandon Steiner on Thursday. So we got a pretty good lineup this week. He just who's texting me, let me know that Thursday is good for him. We'll do some sports, memorabilia collectibles with him. We got Kev O'Neill, oddsbreakers.com on Wednesday. We got Brandon on Thursday. Then we got Mark Lawrence on Friday. And I'll try and sneak in one guy tomorrow if I can. Otherwise, it's just you and I. So good job by everyone. Again, all the guys, hit that subscribe button. We will leave you with this.
I'm so fucking lost, and there's no signs and nothing makes sense. Like, it keeps telling me to go to 2D, and there's no 2D doesn't exist, and nothing works here. Like, see, it keeps telling me to come down these freaking stairs, but then when I come here, the train only says that it goes to M, L, and K, and I need to go to fucking D. Like, what does that even mean? I've literally been walking around this fucking airport for like 30 minutes just bawling my eyes out, and I'm just like, hello. I'm so lost. I can't with this airport.
That's Joey Burrow's girlfriend, Joey B. Normally we give a little bit more provocative, but I had to leave you with this. Just because, like, again, it goes back to the all women are nuts, right? You're walking around an airport. There's 5,000 people, honey. You can't ask for Section B or whatever it was. You can't ask somebody, even if it's a stranger. You're drop dead gorgeous. There isn't a guy in there that wouldn't be willing to help you out. You could go to one of the stands. You could go to one of the officials. Go to one of the policemen. Something, right? And then not only is she not like stupid enough not to do that, but then she makes this video of herself bawling and puts it on social media. People are like so attention starved. It is amazing. Like that's the worst you could see her, right? She's in, trying. She doesn't really know what the hell's going on, right? But she's got enough, okay, I got to think of my social media. I got to make a video of me looking like an idiot, and I got to send this out to everybody after I get home. Or maybe she sent it out from her phone. Who knows? But it's like, are you that starved for attention that one of your worst moments you want to record it and send it out to people to see it look like an idiot? Right? I mean, there's probably not a person out there that's not saying, ask for help, you dope. You're walking around the airport for an hour without stopping and asking somebody? These women are stupid. What can I tell you? Just. Not to mention, how difficult can it be, right? Airports are crazy, but generally speaking, they're easy to figure out. I think that was an airport, she said. But bottom line, what are you doing posting that, people? I mean, people are just post anything, just anything. It is amazing. So Anyway, good job by everyone. Do appreciate it. Go to fanstreamsports.com for all the other shows. We'll get a lot more into baseball tomorrow, a lot more NFL stuff tomorrow. You and I, so talking back and forth. I'll probably try and get a guest on, but a whole lot to get into with the baseball stuff going on, the NFL training camps. We'll take a peek at the preseason games, which are Thursday this week. Full slate of them. We got a bunch of them, not just the one. So we got a bunch of games. We'll start taking a look at those tomorrow as well. So have yourselves a great rest of the Monday. Be safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow right here, fanstreamsports.com.